What's up, Fairmers? Welcome to the Ferrum Athletic Company podcast. I am your host, Andrea Warner. I am also the co-owner and co-founder of Ferrum Athletic Company. If you would like more information on us, please visit our website at www.ferrumathleticco.com. And now, on to today's show. What's up, Ferrumers? Welcome to this week's episode of the Ferrum Athletic Company podcast. My special guests this week, Andy and Rachel Nadler, my first husband and wife, my first dual interview, first long-standing members. Yes. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Great. It's exciting.
Fantastic. It might be exciting until I start asking questions.
Right?
Like, wait a second, I changed my mind.
I'm sure it'll be thrilling all the way through.
So I'm excited to share with everybody both of you guys' journey, because Andy, you started with us first.
Oh, yeah.
Then Rachel.
Yeah.
And then we've had bumps in the road, we've had surgeries, we've had comebacks, we've had major successes, so we had a lot of things to talk about.
It's been a long road.
And we recruited another Nadler now.
Yeah, and we have Seth.
We have Seth.
Who is all part of the Ferrum. But listen, we've been talking about a Ferrum tattoo, so
right.
So we're going to have to give Seth permission for the Ferrum tattoo.
Let's do it temporary. You can do that when he's 18.
I love it.
As long as it's not like a face tattoo.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, it's a tear. It's like a right here on the side of the face.
A little tear.
Yeah. So let's start with pre-joining the gym.
Sure.
Let's start with lifestyle. Let's start with habits. Let's start with what led you guys here.
Sure. I can go first since I guess I was the first one to join. I had a history of some form of exercise. I was really, when I was, I would say late 20s, very much into more like the kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai type of stuff. I did certainly go to the gym a lot in college and then worked out in high school. It was just, once we started having kids, that just kind of stopped.
Kids.
They can ruin a lot of things.
They change everything, right?
That's my story.
I don't even have kids, and I'm like, kids change everything.
Yeah,
they really do.
You know, next thing you know, years have gone by, and clothes have gotten bigger, and just life just happens. And I tried multiple times to join the community gym and go, or I had a customer of my own who had kind of online workout courses, and I did that. It was really good for 2 or 3 months. It was always something like a vacation would happen, or we would go do something, and a week or two would go by, and I would never be able to start back up again. And I discovered I need group class. Yeah. I can't be trusted to do it on my own. I could be really good. Yeah, and I was really good. I would do great for 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month or two, and then something would knock me off course, and it would end. And we happened to have had a friend in town. This was right before COVID hit. They came and they just happened to be in town for a New Year's vacation, and he mentioned to me, "Hey, you'd probably love CrossFit." And I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about that.
Right?
I don't know that's for me." And they left town, and then as I was driving down the street, I noticed that the gym was there, and I was like, "I'll call. I'm not going in."
That looks scary.
And I talked to Sherry, and she said I could come in, try a class out. I came in, and it was incredibly difficult, but it was fun, and I liked being part of the group. And I immediately signed up. I was like, I'm going to do this. And I did it for a good 3 months, and COVID hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
That was such a fun 2020.
Yeah.
Such a fun year.
Yeah. That was great. I got very lucky, though, because there was another member, Mark, who lived down the street from me. And when COVID hit and everybody had to work out from home, we ended up working out together, and he started me going 4 days a week, and we would just work out in the driveway. And what was really great about it for me, though, was that everybody was in this phase of like taking photos after the workouts.
Yeah.
So I actually started kind of chronicling my face.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes, like the Zoom face.
Right,
yes.
the Zoom
yes.
face. Yeah.
But I had started with the Facebook pictures because I remember looking back at the very first workout I did, and I was like, oh my gosh, what an embarrassing photo of myself. And because I was transitioning from 3 days a week to 4 days a week, all of a sudden I started to see more changes. And at the time, I'll let her tell her story, but Rachel was doing running. She wanted to run a 5K. So she would get up and go run, Mark and I would be in a driveway doing a workout, and she would come back from the run and be like, well, that just looks like way more fun.
than just running.
But so that was kind of how it worked out for me. And then once COVID ended and everybody came back to the gym, I consistently was I was doing 4 days a week. And then and that was 3 years ago, over 3 years. And end of last year, I upped it, trying to start going 5 days a week. So I'm here all the time.
I
Feels
love it.
like, yeah.
And you bring up a really good point, which is something that we try to talk with a lot of people about. Fitness being the relatively new industry that it is still trying to figure out its best way. And we have things like 30-day challenges and try this transformation thing and sign up for this. You'll guaranteed this in 6 weeks. And you might get that in a month or 6 weeks or whatever, but then what?
Yeah, exactly.
And
you're left to your own.
Yeah, you're left to your own devices, right? So it's like, okay, well, I did this 30-day thing. Now what do I do?
Oh, you buy the next course.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's, a lot of people fall off, and this is where I believe a lot of people have trouble with their overall health and wellness is it's not something that when someone sits down and talks to you about joining a gym or talks to you about your health, they're not sitting there saying, let's talk about like the next decade. Like, how do you want to feel 10 years from now? What do you want to be able to do when you're in your 50s, 60s, so on? Everybody's talking about 6 weeks and 30 days, but nobody's discussing what happens then. So a big part of this whole journey is having a coach and having somebody to help lead you and guide you on that journey. It's like, if I needed help with finances, which we all do, right? I'm going to go to somebody who knows a heck of a lot more about it than I do and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do in 10 years. Help me.
Yeah.
So it's so funny that so many people are so hesitant about finding a coach and asking for help with, hey, what do I do in this world?
Yeah. Accountability was huge for me. And I when you start coming to a group, whatever the group thing is, whether it's some type of martial art or whatever it is, and you start making friends, you miss a day and you start getting texts from your friends like, where were you today? And there's just this interesting
what happened?
accountability.
Where have you been? Why are you not in the gym, right?
Yeah, you missed a good one today.
Yeah.
So-and-so tripped and fell.
Yeah.
You missed it. Speaking of tripping and falling.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that story in a little bit.
Later too.
We'll talk about that later.
So that would be my journey. And so it was kind of going from completely out of shape because I hadn't really done anything in years to probably being in the best shape of my life here 3 years later, which is pretty awesome.
Fantastic. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I'm
3
in my
years.
40s, so I don't know that a lot of people can say that. I know a lot of people in their 40s that are definitely not in the best shape of their life. They don't go to this gym.
Yeah, right.
Most of the people I know that go to this gym in their 40s are probably in the best shape of their
Feeling
lives.
pretty good. Most of them are complaining about their knees and their hips and so on and so forth.
Minus those aches.
Right.
Or their health issues, right? Or their
Yeah.
new health issues
Yeah.
in their 40s.
So, and then Rachel,
Yeah.
prior to joining the gym.
So much like Andy, I kind of was like, I did a different approach, but I did the couch to 5K. Like, that was my thing. Like, I was like, okay.
Which is an app.
Which is the app, yes. Sorry, it's an app. Because I was like, I didn't know where to start. And so I was like, well, I'll start running. Cardio's good. Cardio's how you lose weight, right? And I did that in combination with Noom and found great success. I was able to lose 40 pounds. But then it was like, okay, now what?
Yeah,
Just
right.
like you said, like, okay, I had this success. I got my 5K. And during COVID, I was watching Andy and Mark and working out in our driveway, and I was like, that looks fun. All right, I'm going to set a goal every Friday. Instead of running, I'm going to, join you guys and in this, see what this is all about.
I love that.
And I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh, these are movements I've never done before. This hurts, but the next day, but I'm like, little soreness is good. And then basically I had the courage to walk in the door myself because I was like, if Andy can do it, I can too.
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
And same thing.
She's definitely tougher and stronger than me. So if I can do it, she definitely could.
But
Goes without saying.
And that's the same thing, right? I kind of did 3 to 4 days a week. I really enjoyed the Saturday classes. Of course, our children's baseball schedule has kind of taken over our Saturdays these days, but And now, I mean, I'm the same thing. I'm kind of consistently here at least 4 days, if not 5.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to get those workouts in, but I've just enjoyed the journey, because same thing with Andy, and I hate to be repetitive, but at 44 years old, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm smaller now than I was in high school.
That's awesome.
You know, like, not many 44-year-old women can say that they can get
True
into
story.
that high school
story.
jeans are that you might still have.
Do you still have high school?
No, I don't. I have a pair of.
So wait a second.
I do have a pair from college. I would never bring them out, but I do have that pair of gold jeans.
The one pair.
There's one pair, and they're too big.
Hey,
So-
there we go.
I got rid of them because I was like, okay, I don't need those gold jeans anymore. But
Gold jeans.
gold.
Oh.
Gold, not
Not
gold.
I was super excited to see the gold jeans. I was like, what in the world do these look like?
Now you guys sound like me and Sherry.
Gold. Sorry, I pronounced my words better.
I love it.
But yeah, and I mean, just I think to Andy's point, like, there's an accountability, and just even for us as a couple, you know, so we're usually, before we get on our calls, we're like, how was that workout today? Like, where did you suffer the most? What was your time? So we're always kind of
She's always faster.
competing, but in a nice way.
Of course.
in a healthy
In
way,
a healthy way.
It does not build anger or animosity.
No.
which is
But-
fantastic. It's always encouraging and loving. And
Yeah.
Yes.
But now Seth's beating my time, so now I'm kind of like,
well,
but
now,
that's okay.
now with the
Nice
kids,
to
it's
be-
different. You can be like mean towards the kids. Be like, listen, I'm your mother.
Yeah.
Listen, if
I
I,
just-
had 13-year-old energy.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
sure.
That's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, I'm not 13, so
No, seriously.
so it's okay.
So what I'm excited to hear about, both of you are in your 40s, been members here for 3 years. What has this journey helped you with outside of the gym? Like, can you think of things that you used to do prior to here that now feel better, easier, enjoyable?
You know, this is going to sound so stupid. I'm not a very active person.
Hey, I get it.
I'm so happy just sitting on a couch and watching sports or something. You know, it wasn't like I used to hike all the time, or I
Right.
used to do all these things and I couldn't do them, but now I can do them again. Like, I never
Yeah.
wanted to do them.
Hey, that's
So I,
totally
you know,
understandable.
for me, it's not about the things that I could do before that I wasn't able to do again.
right.
Other than fitting into clothes I wanted to fit into again. For me, it was all about, you know, I wanted to just look better and feel better, and now I can put on a shirt or put on a pair of pants and not look in the mirror and go, oh, I look a little sloppy.
Right.
You know, like that's a much nicer feeling. I mean,
Yeah.
things I guess you could say, like pull-ups was always a goal for me.
Right.
I always wanted to be able to do a pull-up. When I came in, I remember hanging from a bar thinking, I don't know how this is ever going to happen. I couldn't pull any, you know, I could not pull my weight up even a little. Now I'm able to do pull-ups. So it's not so much things that I lost the ability to do as much as it's the newer things that I probably was never able to do before. Even when I would
Yeah.
say I was in shape.
I love that.
You know, high school, college, I was not out of shape those years. I worked out a lot. I played a lot of racquetball. We played basketball. I mean, what 19, 20-year-old kids do. I never tried to do pull-ups, though. I mean, I just went to the gym and did my bench presses and my curls.
right.
And, you know, sometimes we would do squats, whatever it was. But I don't recall my life ever being able to do pull-ups. So it's that stuff for
Big
me.
deal.
It's the overcoming of these things that were always a challenge for me, or finally feeling like I like the way I look in these clothes and changing the types of clothes that I buy.
Yeah, an overall sense of confidence
Yeah.
and accomplishment. And I mean, that's a really big deal
Yeah.
to be able to say, hey, here I am in my 40s, never been able to do a pull-up, which, by the way, being able to do a pull-up in your 40s is a status symbol. It's
Right.
a thing. So
That's what the tattoo should be.
yeah, it is. Yes. I like
The
that.
date of when you got your
Your
first pull-up.
Yeah, your first strict pull-up.
Like,
I
it's
love
not
it.
your kid's birthday.
It's like, what is this?
That's the key. Strict pull-up. First
Yeah,
strict
first
pull-up.
strict
I love it. And so now you're busting out 3 to 5 strict pull-ups at a
I
time?
can now do 6 strict
Hey,
pull-ups. We
yes.
just did a fun pull-up month. And so
Yeah.
I went and I kind of tested it yesterday to see
Oh,
how
I
it
love
did.
it.
That's
Yes.
awesome. You didn't tell me that.
We've been busy.
Hey, there we go. New news.
But I don't want to speak for her. I'm sure she has things that are different for her.
Yeah. I mean, I think, of course, for us, or at least for me, keeping up with the boys, right? They were they're still very active, but, obviously at my heaviest, that was a challenge.
Right.
As I lost the weight, things got easier. But now that we've just kind of been on this health journey of eating better, sleeping better, working out, I wanted to be a good example for our kids. Yeah. And I think it's shown because, like I said, Seth's in the gym, right? Sean now has interest in the summer program. I think, just the positive influence and that the kids are seeing within us, like mom goes up and gets, she's tired and she works hard as a working mom, but she still finds time for herself to work out and take care of herself. And I want to show that example. I mean, just like I said, injuring myself on the box jump. I was back in here in 3 days.
Yes, you were.
And I wasn't going to let that stop me. Was there a little discomfort, walking a little funny? Yeah. But I made it through. But I wanted to show to the kids that just because something may hurt or something may, impact how you do it, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Or you just have to change the way you are doing it. And trying to just be a good example to them, and creating good, positive habits in them now, so that they don't have to go through Andy and I, watching Andy and I, with the yo-yo diets, because we definitely do.
South Beach.
I mean, we get fat together, we get skinny together.
Luckily,
we get fat together, we get skinny together.
Very good about doing it as a team.
On both sides.
Yeah,
right?
It's
very supportive.
When one of us gets motivated, like when one of us would get to the point where we were just sick of what we were seeing in the mirror, the other person was always in the same place. So the diets would start together, the exercises would start together, then they would fail together, and we would just go through these cycles together. And it was, I know people who have a very different boat. Like the husband or the wife is all about getting in shape, and the other one's just like,
Yeah.
And trying to keep a diet in a house like that, or motivation to go to the gym when the other person's like, I ain't going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do. So it's certainly easier when you've got somebody else to do it with.
But this place has created an environment for us to be consistent, and we've sustained it. And I mean it, and Andy, I talk about it all the time, and that I just can't even imagine going back to not working out like this. And this is just like Mel said, like, this is my happy place. Like, that's why the box jump injury wasn't gonna stop me, because this is my happy place. This is where I can take out my stress. I can forget about all the things going on behind the scenes and all the meetings I have in the next 8 hours at work. And I can just come here, work out, and just, most of the time not complain.
There are other things that are hard.
What's fun that Rachel's not telling you, though, was that she had a much simpler goal when she was starting to work out. Do you remember what your goal was?
No, I don't.
She'll remember it. Her goal was, I want to be able to walk down the street and have someone look at me and go, oh yeah, she looks like she works out.
Hey.
It wasn't that she wanted to be able to do the pull-up, or, it wasn't like she had
right,
but I mean, initially it wasn't about, I want to be able to lift X amount of pounds, I want to be able to do a certain exercise. She wanted to be perceived as somebody that was healthy.
Yeah.
And I think that's it was never something that I considered, but when she had said that, I was like, you know what? I want people to think that about me too.
Yeah, definitely.
I better start buying tighter shirts, and I I need my arms to show off more now.
No, you're right. Yeah, I totally forgot. Because it is. It's because I've helped quite a few of my friends, whether it was the success of Noom that helped me to lose the weight, and they joined and they had the same success, and they've been able to sustain their weight loss, or having friends join here, right? Like Stephanie and Bill, right? Convincing, I was like, you gotta just get in the door. Mike, right?
Oh yeah,
we've had a lot of
Mike's
people
here.
come in,
Yeah,
right? Just from us talking about this place and how it's changed our lives. It really has. And I don't mean to be like cheesy about it, but that's just our reality.
I love it. Girl, be as cheesy as you like.
Good.
There's the Jesus so good. So there's this thought that one of the main reasons why people join a gym is they join because they want to feel the way fit people feel.
Yeah.
Right? So when you really think about it, like, and the more that I sit and think about that, and like, that's really it. Like, a lot of people walk into a gym with it's not so much like a weight loss goal or specific number. It's like, I just want to feel and be able to do the things that I perceive that fit people can do.
Yeah.
Like, look at that person that can walk down the street without their knee hurting. I want to be able to, I want that. So I resonate with that big time. Like, I just want to be able to walk down the street and people say, hey, that girl looks like she works out. That's a great goal. I think a lot
Getting
of
there.
Oh, yeah.
People have already said you've achieved that goal.
Yes.
I would agree.
Yes.
And you recently got your first pull-up
I did.
at the age of 44.
44.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And it took a while for me to get there. So, and I do have to respond to Erin's comment because for me, because I, of course, listen to all the podcasts.
Yes.
For me, it wasn't just consistently trying to, you guys saw, like I kept on doing the bands and trying to do the pull-ups on my own. It really was a conscious effort for me to increase my weight. I was like, I know I'm stronger than this. I know I can do it. So now I really have to start pushing myself and not be afraid of going heavy. Like there was definitely a time during this 3-year journey that we've been here, or I've been here, that I was afraid to go heavy because I was like, oh, I don't want to get big. I don't want to get too muscular or whatever it is. And I was like, that's just ridiculous. Like,
It is.
it's such a, like, no. So that was, for me, it was like, okay, there's, I just, every, alternating dumbbell snatch, it was go higher, go heavier, whatever it was. And it turns out I love shoulders and back. So that was like right up my forte. And I just kept pushing and pushing till
That's awesome.
I was confident. And it was Veronica was like, we were doing something. She's like, you look jacked. And I was like, oh, thank you. and then the next day it kind of was like, I hadn't tried a pull up in a while. And that, like, just that little comment, I was like, I'm going to try my pull up today. And it was just like, whoop. And I was like, I just did it.
Holy crap. Where
Did
did that
anybody
come from?
see that?
And nobody saw it.
Cameras
I was just
running
like kind of in the
anywhere.
corner doing my own thing, just doing the stretching, and I was like, I'm gonna try it today, and it just happened. And then I walked over to Andy and I was like, I just got my first pull up. And he's like, do it again, and I'm like,
I recorded
That's awesome.
it, and she refused to let me send the video to anybody.
Oh, that's hilarious. And I love that you bring this up because this is a topic that we discuss with so many people because, we have our conditioning piece at the end. And everybody's like, oh, I need to save myself for the conditioning piece. It's like the strength portion is where it's at.
Yep.
Like, especially if we're talking about your longevity and what you want to be able to do in your life 10, 15, 20 years from now. If you're not building strength and putting on some lean muscle mass, that only gets harder 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Right? So I love that was the light bulb moment.
That was the light bulb for me, is that I just got to go heavier. If I want to get that pull up, I have to go heavier.
Yeah.
And finally it just kind of clicked and came and everything moved the way it should have moved, and
Just
I got it.
Awesome. And that's really the big basis behind our programming now.
Right.
Is
Exactly.
that ideally you should be, when the coaches describe it, each week adding just a little bit of weight. Each week. This week it should feel like this. It should be 5 to 10 pounds heavier than last week. It should be an RPE of X, Y, and Z. And you guys have been through our rebranding
Yeah.
into our new programming,
That's right.
and you guys are thriving. And it's awesome.
It's working out well for us.
Yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
I've loved it since the evolution of it, because I was like, this makes sense for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to be throwing. Like, I was never a fan of throwing things over my head anyway, so
Right.
I was like, I'm fine, like, I'm good. But I mean, it just, everything kind of. I think with the evolution of the rebranding, it's really clicked for us, and just we've embodied it, embraced it, because it's been so effective for us.
And I love
And
that.
I'm just feeling stronger every, like I said, all these, I love it. I don't know.
And the journey, it's not like the journey's just been this beautiful straight line.
Nope.
Right?
Unicorns and rainbows.
You got it. I mean, everybody's got that, right? Listen, if I could sell unicorns and rainbows, man, it'd be awesome.
It's another
Would be.
tattoo.
That'd be another tattoo. Seriously. We've had, Andy has had a shoulder surgery.
Oh, yeah. 2.
Rachel, you've been through surgeries as well.
Yeah, I'll say it, mommy makeover.
Yep. So, and regardless of orthopedic, elective, surgery is surgery, right? It's a procedure, there's recovery, and I'm actually excited to really talk to you guys about this because so many people, number one, they think that surgery just fixes everything and then you're good and you can just go do whatever.
Great.
And which is not the case, right? And especially for women who have had children, who have had kids. Ladies, your body is never the same.
Nope.
It will not be the same afterwards. But everybody treats women like, hey, you're going to have these kids and then you just go back to doing life. There's also recovery from that. So what I'm excited to hear about is Andy's shoulder surgeries, the mommy makeover. I want to hear about that whole journey.
Sure.
How did we get to shoulder surgeries, first of all?
Oh, well, that was so much fun. So for me, it was, this was years ago. So I had both shoulders done back in 21.
Right. Yep.
Didn't mean to make that rhyme.
Right.
But it
That's very clear.
I noted, I remember being at the gym one day and we were doing bench presses. And every time I would push, I was like, oh my gosh, that just hurts. Like, okay, I'm just going to start doing push-ups. And, oh, it just hurts. And weeks would go by and I was like, okay, I just needed to rest. And it just didn't feel better. It was my right shoulder. And I remember one day talking to one of the coaches, okay, we'll start adjusting. When you do the push-ups, we'll have the block under you so you don't go all the way down.
Right.
And we'll do floor presses instead of all the way on the bench press. That way you don't get that full range of motion. And nothing helped. It's hurt nonstop. So I decided to finally go to the doctor. Our primary doctor is a sports medicine doctor, so I thought it was a good place to start. And he did the little test where he moves your arm and he has you spin your wrist and does all the fun. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm moving my arm.
Doing things.
Yes. My arms are moving all over the place. Right. And he's like, I think you just have some arthritis. So some physical therapy. We could do a steroid shot. You should be fine. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I love that it's a quick and simple thing. And I think I did physical therapy for a few weeks, a couple times a week. And again, didn't really help. And I finally went in and had the shot. And it was like immediate. Like, ooh, I can move my shoulder. This is amazing. All that pain is gone. I feel like I did when I was 16.
Right.
And the doctor said, all you gotta do is take 2 days off, no lifting for 2 days, and you can go back to whatever you want to do. And so I went back into the gym a couple days later, and lo and behold, I could bench press, I could do push-ups, I could try to do my pull-ups. I could do all the overhead stuff, and I had no pain. I was like, this is fantastic. It's solved. And I think it was like 3 months. It was probably 3 months to the day. I remember being in there doing bench press or something. I think I was even with you one day. I was trying to do pull-ups. I think I got my first kipping pull-up. And I was like, oh, that hurts again. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And I went back to the doctor. Oh, okay, well, I guess that whatever the steroid shot is wearing off. So maybe it's worse than just some simple arthritis. The inflammation, getting rid of the inflammation isn't solving it. Let's continue to do physical therapy. Maybe we need to get an MRI, but I would stop doing the things that are hurting you. Okay.
Right.
So.
Which was everything.
It wasn't everything.
Well,
luckily it wasn't everything, but it was a lot.
A lot.
Right.
And so I got the MRI. There's some tearing, there's some bone spur, no real damage, like nothing was torn. I didn't have like torn ligaments and ripped anything. But I mean, so months and months are going by, and let's just do some more physical therapy. We don't want to do surgery quite yet. So I mean, it was a few more months, and still physical therapy, not doing the overhead stuff. I adjusted everything I did in the gym, and still it just hurt, and it got to the point where it started hurting even more, even with simple things. I remember just opening a doorknob, and it was like shooting pain through my shoulder. And what turned out what I had was, the doctor says, you have osteoarthritis. It's not inflammation, it's just you don't have the cartilage between the bones and in your AC joint. And it's like, we can fix this. It's arthroscopic. We go in, we shave the bone down so it creates more space and you'll be good to go. And I was like, well, nothing else has been working. I don't know how many months of physical therapy I did. I did the steroid shot. I was like, I don't want to have to get a steroid shot every 3 months for the rest of my life. And
right.
I don't want to quit. I mean, what I didn't mention though was that I also had started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the time. So I was here 4 days a week and I was doing Jiu-Jitsu twice a week in the evening. And it wasn't until I started doing the Jiu-Jitsu a couple months later was when it really started to flare up. So it was a combination of the two. But the doctor said, and I remember he said, I can put everybody your age in this MRI machine and I'm going to see very similar results. Because everybody just has that kind of damage. Like you're just more active than most people your age.
Right.
So they're going to have the same problem, but they're not doing what you're doing, and they may never even notice it. It may hurt a little when they take a shirt on or take a shirt off or put a shirt on. Maybe it hurts when they adjust when they're sleeping like it was for me, but he's like, you just do so much more. Yeah. So I did decide to give up on the jiu-jitsu. I did try it again after the surgery, then it's still...
I think that was influence from me to tell him to stop doing
it. It was fully my decision as an adult male. But so eventually I just decided, okay, let's just get this surgery done with. If I'm going to have to do it, I can't stop working out, because at that point it had been year and a half. I'd lost like 30 pounds. I was like, if I don't fix this and I just stop working out, I'm going right back to where I was. So I'm going to have the surgery. So I did have my right shoulder done. It was like July of 2021. Came out, had the big sling thing. That was tons of fun. Had to wear it for about a week, and I was doing physical therapy. But my biggest concern was, I know what happens when I stop working out for extended periods of time. So even before I went in, I think it was before I even went in, I was talking to you and talking to Sherry, and I was like, I don't know how long I need to be out of the gym, but as soon as I can, I need to be back in, but I can't do most things.
Yeah.
So I took, the doctor wanted me to take 3 weeks of just, nothing. So I think I had a whole week off of work, which was fantastic. Watched a lot of TV.
That part was great.
Yes. Got out of the sling, was doing my physical therapy, and 3 weeks and I started doing twice a week sessions with Sherry. And I mean, what was so interesting was it never occurred to me how many exercises one can do. That, because I was like, how am I going to work my legs? I can't hold the barbell. I can't hold these heavy dumbbells because I just had this shoulder surgery. I mean, she had the most creative ways to do exercises. It was really unbelievable. And I never asked. I would have never known.
Yeah.
I would have just done nothing, and I would have gone off and probably put on a ton of weight again.
Yeah.
And so 3 weeks after my surgery, I was in the gym, and I was coming 4 days a week. I worked with Sherry twice a week, and she gave me like a series of workouts. So I would print them out, I'd bring them in, and before I came in, I go, I'm going to do workout 6. And so I knew exactly what I was going to do. I came in at the same time so I could see all my friends, have my social time, and I would just do my own little workout. They would do their workout that was on the board, and then I would go home. And what sucked was that because I couldn't use my right arm as much, I was way overusing the left.
Right.
And so within 3-4 weeks, I'm starting back at the gym, and all of a sudden I was just like, this left arm, my left shoulder really hurts. Like, I don't know what's going on, but it's in the exact same place. And I went back to the doctor, and he's like, well, it's in the exact same place. He's like, I could do another MRI, or we could just know that it's a physiological thing, and you would probably have the exact same problem on the left side that you do on the right. And I could just repeat the surgery. And Rachel's like, well, we already hit our deductible. So,
go for it.
Go for it.
Game on.
So if you're going to do it, let's just do it. So 6 weeks later, I went back in, and he did the left shoulder.
Yeah.
And same thing, had a week with the sling on the left arm. And 3 weeks later, I was working with Sherry again twice a week, and she gave me even new stuff to do. And I want to say that was August, and I came in 4 times a week, did my own workouts until middle of December.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you guys working together for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Sherry is definitely a shoulder expert.
She knows her stuff.
She's been through 2 of those major rotator cuff repairs herself. So, and she was in that similar boat. Like, she did the right one, and 2 years later, same thing on the left.
Yeah.
And so she very much
and luckily,
was the ideal coach to help you.
Luckily I didn't have the tears. I didn't have the same level of damage.
Yeah.
And so the recovery was way simpler. And, for me, and we've talked about it so many times, but for me, there was this overarching fear of if I don't get back in the gym, I'm never going to, and I'm going to lose my rhythm. I'm going to lose it, and I have to be in there. And what was great about it was that, I've had people since then tell me that it actually was rather inspiring to see someone who had just come back from major surgeries, and you were still in there, just as much as we were. And I thought that was really cool too. And that definitely helped my, my mental side of just still dealing with it. And like you said, if it were unicorns and rainbows, it wasn't. This is 2 years later now, and it still hurts me to do. It's the bench press motion, bench press and push-ups, high weight bench press and high amounts of push-ups. Still rather painful. I can do all the overhead stuff I want. I have no problem. I can push press. No problems. But bench press and push-ups are still quite painful. So I'm kind of coming to this realization. This may be the rest of my life. I don't know if it will ever not hurt to do lots of push-ups and lots of bench press. And so no, it certainly does not solve all problems, but
definitely not.
I can do a lot. I can do way more than I was able to do before I needed the surgery badly. So
yeah, and I love that you reached out to Sherry for that help on your way back, because so many people either don't do that. They rely solely on physical therapy. They do a great job of getting you back to your activities of daily living.
Right.
Lifting your arm, putting things on a shelf. But their job, paired with insurance, is not to get you bench pressing.
No.
Correct.
Insurance doesn't have on their checklist, Andy needs to bench press before he leaves physical therapy.
Can he still clean and jerk?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Doing pull-ups, the whole 9 yards. Make sure that he can run and do all this. Nope, their checklist is, can Andy touch his head?
Can he shower?
Right.
Can he take a shower? Can he put a shirt on? And
and it's amazing the things you don't even think about that you couldn't do. It never occurred to me that with shoulder injuries, I wouldn't be able to do a box jump. I could not thrust my arms enough to get the power to do a box jump. So the things that I was like, I can continue to do these exercises. But there were so many I couldn't do. It just hurt so badly, and you wouldn't even have expected it. So.
Yeah.
And I love that, when you worked with Sherry, she helped you understand the anatomy of the shoulder.
Yeah.
Better. What fires, what needs to fire, the healthy shoulder sits down and back.
And she had me doing the bands. So for months I was doing the banding. I forgot what it was called, but it was just great. She had so many exercises that really, probably more than the physical therapy did, to be quite honest.
That's awesome.
So it was great. But for so much I can't even say it. For me, it was I cannot be out of here for too long, or I will just lose that drive and momentum. I gotta get back in as quickly as I can.
And trying to figure it out on your own, it's frustrating.
Yeah. And watching all your friends work out without problems.
Yeah. And you're like, well, I can't use a bar. Like you said, I can't use a barbell. I can't run. I can't jump. Okay, well, I can't do any of this. I'm gonna go home. When you're surrounded by coaches that are like, come on over here.
We got you.
Let me show you what you got going on.
Yeah.
And they educate you and guide you on the right path. It's suddenly there's this whole new world that's oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where did all this come from? I can do all of this stuff.
I could not believe the creativity of the exercises.
I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Which brings us to Rachel.
Yeah.
Yes. So my surgery journey was obviously after joining here, just normal things, right? Your body's getting stronger, your body's changing, and all for the right reasons. But along with the weight loss, there was just, for me, it was just, I had a vision of kind of what my body was supposed to look like, right? And it wasn't there. And we talked about it, and I made a conscious decision to go and get a mommy makeover, which at the time I probably didn't realize the extent of what that all meant.
Right.
But because my core was strong, even the plastic surgeon was like, I'm not removing fat. I'm not we're just really, when I got my first consult, he was just like, your core is strong.
Yes.
He was like, okay,
That's
it was a different,
chef,
right?
By the way.
Right, exactly.
Totally changes the surgery.
But it did. Well, and it did. And we'll get to that as well. But for me, it was just, I was 42 at the time. I lost all this weight, and I knew I was getting stronger. I was getting more confident to a certain extent, but I wanted more, and I knew there was only my body could do so much, and I decided on getting the surgery. I had mine in March of 2021.
Right before my surgery.
Right.
I mean, we were like,
So Seth was running the house.
Yeah, right, pretty much. But back to the point. So, from the time in July when I joined in 2020 to the surgery, I did get a second consult because, like I said, I was like, man, things just feel different, like from the initial evaluation that he gave me. And when I went back, he was like, yep, you're right. Like, your core's gotten even stronger. Like, and he actually took like $2,000 off the procedure. I don't know if you guys remember, before I went under the knife, I even teased you guys. I was like, thanks for saving me so much money on my surgery, because now my core, like, even more so, my core is strong. But, so of course with the surgery, it was a significant recovery, right?
What was the difference because your core was strong? What did they not have to do?
Let me clarify. Yeah, so with a tummy tuck, and like I said, I'm not the expert, but there's a lot of resuturing of the abdominal wall, right? Because after pregnancy, right, they got to pull all that stuff back together, and thanks to this place, they didn't have to do that. Mine was really much more of just a skin removal and a little bit in the lower abdominal, but there wasn't much of the midsection what is it, diastasis?
Yes,
the diastasis. Like, so I did not have to have that, which is
that's a big deal.
It's a lot of recovery
really big deal.
Because it's a vertical incision in suturing versus a horizontal, which makes a significant difference in your recovery time. So not having to have that, I had, I definitely still had a tough experience, but definitely not near the severity of many women that go through the full surgery. But, fast forward after getting cleared from the doctor, I was 6 weeks out, and that was tough. That was really tough for me mentally and emotionally to not have my happy place, right?
Yeah.
And same thing, but Andy's encouragement, my friends' encouragement, family, whatever, and even here, because people would text me and check on me, and we miss you, and can't wait to see you come back. And
because she didn't announce to everybody that she was going to have this surgery, she just disappeared one day.
She just didn't show up. Well, Andy, what did you do, Rachel?
It wasn't like what. Yeah. Maybe a couple people knew, but I remember coming in weeks later. People were like, "Where's Rachel been?" I'm like,
but I was open about the surgery. I wasn't like ashamed of it. No, that's true.
It's not something you were like, "Hey, just so everybody knows." Right? So lots of people who you are friends with didn't necessarily know. So it was funny conversations I got to have with people.
Yeah.
Like, where's she been?
Okay.
Like, what am I allowed to tell people?
Yeah, we did have a conversation. He's like, what am I allowed to share? What am I not allowed to share? And I'm like, you can share. I'm open. I'm an open book.
Now when we're talking about core recovery.
Oh, that was the biggest surprise for me.
That's a big one.
It's, because, the plastic surgeon cleared me after 6 weeks. I too went to Sherry. I didn't do as extensive. I did probably, I think, 3 or 4 sessions with her.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through what we typically do to see where I was. Could I hang on a bar? Nope, not yet. Because of the breast, the breast augmentation and lift. Can I do a push-up? Nope, can't do a push-up.
Not yet.
Can't do that. Like planks. Nope, not there. So, it was a lot of trial and error of finding what worked, what didn't work. But, man, the workouts were still very focused, very tough.
Sherry doesn't let up.
No, she does not.
She's pretty relentless.
And, but it was, but at least it prepared me to go into a class knowing what to expect. But, but it probably took at least 3 months, if not, I would say even close to 6 months, till I felt my core was normal.
I believe that.
To the point where I was like, okay, I can move the way I need to move, without strain, without a little twinge going, ooh, what's that, right?
Yeah.
Nothing was ever painful, but it just, when you lose your core to everything you do, you have to really think very hard about your movements. And of course, the fact of concerns over injury, right? Because if you're not able to embrace that core, could I hurt myself? So that was a lot of the focus that Sherry worked with me on, is how can I continue to try to do these movements, utilize my core safely through the exercises, and get me back to where I wanted to be, and some, right? But like I said, it was a long road. There was definitely times of frustration because I too, like, watching everybody else, I'm like, I want to be able to do a push up again, and I want to be able to do toes to bar again, and I can't get there yet. But now I can, and I'm happy. Don't regret any of it.
I love it. And the education and awareness, those are two big things that I think everybody should understand that they need anytime that you go through any kind of, we'll call it a speed bump. Right? Whether it's a surgery, an injury, a setback of any kind, like having that, no, you don't need to quit. This isn't the end of the world. Like, we still have a lot of years left.
Absolutely.
And there's a ton of things that can be offered and the education that can be provided so that when you are standing on your own 2 feet, it's like, okay, my coach went over it with me. When I'm in this situation, I do this. We got stronger. We still got what we felt was a good workout. We're still working on our mental health. We still got all of the good benefits, even though we're still in the recovery process. And that's huge. Because so many people were like, oh, well, I've got this thing going on, so I rolled my ankle, so I'm out.
Right.
Like,
and we can't say it enough. It was just about getting back in here, get moving, because we had the confidence that we knew we were in good hands with you guys and the coaches here, that, like, we'll figure it out.
It's interesting too. There's a change in attitude, because we were even talking about this the other day. We talk about this stuff all the time.
Oh, I love it.
We're dorks.
We really are.
I'm right there with you.
But there's this attitude of excuses that we would have had 5 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if I would have been just going to the gym on my own, working out, and I rolled my ankle, for example, that would be my excuse to just not go. And 2 weeks would go by or whatever, and I would probably be done. There was always I was almost always looking for some excuse, always looking for some reason that I don't have to go. And I remember I couldn't have been here for more than 6 months. And I remember seeing, I don't remember who it was, but it was some woman, and she was I'm working out, doing my thing, and she came in, she had a full-on cast boot thing, and I'm like, oh, what's she here doing? She starts working out. And she just kind of adjusted what she was doing, and she wasn't doing, some things she just had to do while she was sitting, while we were standing, and I was like, holy moly, I would have, there's no way I would be here if that were me. And that was my attitude 3 years ago. And, I've never had an exercise routine or anything that I did as long as we've been doing this for the last 3 years. So the attitude toward what would slow me down, what might stop me, I can't even apply that to my previous self, because my previous self was always looking for something. Like, oh, my shoulder's a little sore today, or, oh, I twisted my ankle, or I have a slight headache. It was just whatever it was my excuse to
not go to the gym.
Stay in bed.
Yeah. And when it's on your schedule, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., it becomes a part of your routine.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of your life. And pretty soon it becomes so routine that it's a feeling that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Like, it's hard to describe to people how good it feels to feel strong.
Yeah.
And when you're, for example, my best example that I have is the fall of 2020 when I had COVID. And I lost, 10 pounds or whatever when I was sick. And then it took me 6 months to recover from it. Ooh. It was like, I just want to feel strong again. And it just, that feeling, it's a feeling of feeling healthy.
Yeah.
And it just changes your attitude on everything. Like the way you look at your entire day, really the way you look at your life, the way you handle situations that come into your life, gives you the ability to respond instead of react. It really can literally change your life. And I think the conversations that we have, especially in a world that's so stressed out, it's like people need this. They need it. And trying to convince someone that, listen, this really isn't a scary thing. Like,
right.
There are gyms and environments that are very intimidating. And some people are like, nope, not walking in that place. And we've worked really hard to try to change that. Like, we want people to be able to walk in here and feel the way that you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, there's always we are all competitive in some ways, right? I mean, but we're all so supportive of each other. I mean, it's always the high fives at the end and the good job. And if someone's having a rough day, I don't know. It's such a positive environment here. And addicting is not the right word. I wish I could find it, but it is. It's like you just, I have to be here. Because if I don't move now, which I never thought I would ever say this, but if I'm not moving physically now, like, I do get irritable. I really do. If I miss a couple of days, I'm like, man, I need to move. I need to get this, whatever this is in my body out. And like, that's why Mondays are great. Cause it's just like, okay, I'm here.
Yes. Thank God it's Monday.
I actually get excited because Mondays, cause lately I've had to take off Saturdays and Sundays. So that's like my 2 days of like, I need my work. I have to, fulfill that itch to work out. And it's funny I never thought ever I would be.
We were never those people.
Never were these people. Yeah.
And I love this. Nadlers, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
We work hard at being awesome.
I love it.
Actually, I should take that back. It just comes easy.
It just comes naturally.
It's just
I love it.
Oh,
I want to thank you guys for joining me today.
That's been fun.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like for people to know that we didn't cover?
I don't. I guess the only thing we could say would be that it's one thing to lose the momentum. It's another thing to get it started, right? So I remember, and I mean, most of the people that are listening to this have probably went through it, but I have very clear memories of starting and just being very nervous about what it was going to be. And for the first 3 months, I very much remember I would walk out of the gym. I cannot believe I didn't die today. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I can't believe I could walk out of here. But I want to say like a couple of months in, I got to the point where I had a couple nights where I remember going to sleep going, all right, I get to go work out in the morning. Which was a brand new feeling for me. So it was like getting the starting process is difficult.
Yeah.
And if you've done it and you know how hard it was, I always worry that it could be harder the second time because you remember how hard it was the first time.
Right.
Which is why it was just so important for us to just not stop because I didn't want to have to deal with that again.
Yeah.
But what's great, I know it's different now, and that was when it was, we were at a CrossFit gym and it was totally different. So I got to imagine that, kind of getting started here nowadays is probably a very different experience than it was 3 years ago.
Definitely. Because now everybody goes through personal training until the coach and the client are both like, okay, we're ready for the next step.
Yeah.
And ready.
So it's definitely, you went through the hardcore entry.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of those intro sessions when I started 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like 5, and we just did some small stuff, and then I went right into it and nearly died.
And it was very different. Which was a big reason why we changed a lot of that. Because we're like, okay, we need to better prepare everybody for class because we have people that were jumping into class and they're like, what is this?
But once we got in, people seem to love it.
Yeah. That's how
I stuck around. Yeah, I don't have anything else though. I feel like we've said everything there is to say.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you guys for joining me.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you guys in the gym.
Yes, you will.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ferrum Athletic Company podcast. If you like the show, please leave us a review, share it with your family and friends, share it on your social media platforms. Our mission is to build better humans through the education of health and movement. If this resonates with you, please shoot us an email at forged@ferrumathleticco.com, follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram at Ferrum Athletic Co. And we will see you all soon. Thank you for helping us to build better humans.